Hey everybody. So today, some of us are going to be discussing a topic that has come up a lot in some of the support groups that we're in and that we feel is necessary to start discussing more, which is it a good idea for people who don't have DID or OSDD to write fictional characters who do? Now, before we start the video, anyone out there who can and would like to, please feel free to support us via our Patreon. It helps us to support the channel and to donate to An Infinite Mind, which is a charity that helps systems that is run by a DID system. So if that's something that's within your budget and you'd like to help out, please feel free. Otherwise, please feel free to continue to share our videos, like, and subscribe. Okay, so I'm going to talk first about my thoughts on whether or not it's a good idea for people who don't have DID or OSDD to write characters who do in fiction. And my overall general answer is no, it's not a good idea. And the long answer is that it's not a good idea because unless it's an experience you've lived, you're not really going to understand what it's like. And this means that when writing this character and describing their experiences, you're liable to end up unintentionally creating a lot of misinformation and possibly adding to the stigma depending on what you're writing. Now, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's just fiction. Well, the reality is that people read fiction and they think that what they're reading about, if it's a thing that exists in real life, is really how that works. Is it the best idea to take your ideas about how the world works from fiction? No. But is it what a lot of people do? Yes. So, honestly, it's not a good idea. DID and OSDD are already highly stigmatized and are very poorly understood by a lot of people. So adding to that by creating fictional characters that feed into these misunderstandings, mischaracterizations, the horror trope of there being an evil member of the system, any of these things, it just creates more problems for real people. So it's just really not a good idea. Alright, so that's my take on it, and let's see what anybody else has to say. Alright, look. Don't write about DID or OSDD if you don't have it. Don't write characters with DID or OSDD because you think it's interesting and edgy. You're not being interesting and edgy, you're just being an asshole. Okay? We're not zoo animals, we're not a curiosity. And, you know, I mean, if you don't live it, you don't get it. Okay? You're not gonna write a character who's got broken bones if you've never broken a bone. Because how the hell are you gonna fucking explain what it's like to live with a broken bone if you've never fucking had one? How are you supposed to write a character that has a broken bone if you've never had a broken bone? It's gonna be inaccurate as hell. And the same thing goes if you're writing about DID or OSDD and you don't have it. It's gonna be inaccurate. And people can be really dumb sometimes about fiction. They're gonna read it and think, oh yeah, this is how this shit works. And it's not. Just look at how many people fucking think Split is how DID works. That was a goddamn superhero movie. The asshole was climbing the fucking ceiling. And people still thought that there's an evil altar and they're gonna eat you or be a murderer. So, no, it being just pretend, made up, fun, haha time doesn't make it any less shitty. Don't do it. Okay? It's fucked up. Don't do it. That's all I gotta say about it. So, peace. Okay. So, my thought is, you can write about whatever you want to write about, but, if you're gonna write about, DID or OSDD and you don't have it, then, write about, your experiences, dealing with somebody who has DID or OSDD if you have, or what it's like seeing it from the outside. Don't try to explain what it's like to live it, because you don't know that, you don't have that experience. You don't have any idea what it's like to live like this if you don't live like this. So, if you want to write about, a person whose best friend has DID or whatever, then, go do your research and go talk to people who have DID. Or if you want to write about somebody whose family member has OSDD, then go do your research and talk to people who have OSDD. Okay? But, don't try to make up a character and have them be, your main character, or, be trying to explain things from, their lived experience who has DID or OSDD if you don't, because you're going to get it wrong. Okay? Sweetie, I'm sorry, but you're going to get it wrong. Because it's so different for every system. And, it's not something that you can explain to somebody that doesn't live it and have them really, really get it, if you've never dissociated, really, really dissociated, not just normal dissociation, oh hey, I didn't realize how far we'd gone in this car trip. But no, dissociated and oh hey, where the hell am I? What's going on? What is this? I don't know what's happening. Then you can't possibly explain what that's like. You can explain what you think it's like, but it's not gonna be realistic. And the problem is that people are gonna read it and think it is realistic. And people with DID and OSDD get enough crap as it is, okay? We don't need any more. And we've seen so many people who are like, oh, I want to write about characters with DID and OSDD because I want to help all of you guys and spread awareness. Stop it. Okay, we don't need you to white knight for us, okay? We don't need that. If you want to spread awareness about DID and OSDD, then tell people that we're not scary, that we're not bad. Spread that information. Make a character whose best friend has DID or OSDD in your book, and write about how great of a friend they are, and how even though they have a lot of struggles that they might be going through, that they're always there for you and they're a great friend. But don't try to tell our stories for us, okay? Because you can't. And it's super cringy if you try. We have read some really bad fiction about DID and OSD, okay? It was super cringy. And not even close to accurate. They were so confused about what DID and OSDD even are, that it was just like, I cannot even, okay? Like, they didn't understand the difference between DID and OSDD and, like, schizophrenia or bipolar or, like, 16 other things that they were confusing it with. It was just, it was garbage. Okay? So just, like, if you're gonna do it, then make a positive character in the story who has DID or OSDD, but don't try to write about having it, because you don't. Make sense? Okay. So yeah, that's like all that I'm gonna say about it, but that's pretty much it. So, bye. Hi, it's Allie. And I wanted to say that I agree with what Kit and everybody else was saying, because I was paying attention. And I think that you shouldn't write about having DID and OSDD if you don't have it, and um, that you can write about whatever you want, but that you're not helping people if you're making stuff up that's not true. And even though it's fiction, sometimes people, they don't understand that that's not true and not real, and then they think it is. So yeah, I think you shouldn't write characters um, who have DID or OSDD if you don't, and try to say what it's like to live with DID or OSDD, because you don't know. Um, but I did agree with what Marie said about how it's okay to write other characters who are like the background people and stuff who have it, because you could show them as positive and good people in the main character's life without having to try to explain what DID and OSDD is like, and then it helps people see that we're not bad. So I liked that. Yeah, that's everything that I wanted to say. Bye. All right. Well, now you have some of our opinions on this topic, and feel free to share your opinions with us. What do you think? Do you think that people should be writing about DID and OSDD when they don't have it? Do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea? Do you feel it's neutral? What are your thoughts? Feel free to share with us below. And if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Have a good day, everybody.